This is Testicular Fortitude on the Manlihood ManCast.
Are you ready to live life to the full? Are you ready to rise up and live a life of honor? Are you ready to boldly step into a life of courage? This is the Manlihood ManCast, and here's your host, Josh Hatcher.
Have you ever needed to circumcise a gnat, but your Walmart knife from 13 years ago just isn't cutting it? Pun intended. Well, HAINES Knives is here to fix that. Travis Haines is a bladesmith that offers custom handcrafted knives, anything from personal everyday carries to kitchen knives. Find your new favorite knife at hainesKnives.com/mancast or follow Travis over on social media at BirdForge and let him know we sent you. That's HAINES Knives.com/mancast. And again, over at BirdForge on social media. The Roman Empire wasn't a force to mess around with. Their soldiers were ruthless. Their armor and weapons were elite. Their strategy and tactics were forged and tested and refined. And yet, one North African struck Rome like a hurricane, and we still tell his stories thousands of years later. Today's portrait of a man with balls on Testicular Fortitude is Carthaginian General Hannibal. Carthage was a Phoenician settlement in what is now Tunisia in North Africa. They were building a different kind of empire in the ancient world. They had trading outposts from West Africa to Spain and Portugal, all the way to Italy. The Roman Empire, fueled by their worship of their Caesars, attempted to swallow the world and make it all Rome. Carthaginians had already suffered defeat against the Romans in the First Punic War. Hannibal's father was a general on that front. After the war, his father went to strengthen his family's wealth by raiding and subjugating the tribes on the Iberian Peninsula. At the age of 9, Hannibal begged his father to take him along. His father brought him into a sacrificial altar, blazing with fire. By the way, the Carthaginians were the descendants of Canaanites. They worshipped Baal. They often sacrificed their children on these altars. Hannibal's name actually means the Lord Baal is gracious. So Hannibal's father made him swear an oath at that burning altar. Hannibal later recounted the oath he had said at the age of 9. I swear so soon as age will permit, I will use fire and steel to arrest the destiny of Rome. Hannibal would continue to fight and lead after his father's death 9 years later. He led troops drawn from the Iberian tribes through the Pyrenees Mountains in 218 BC, then through Gaul, fighting the tribes as he neared the Alps. Some of the tribes ended up leaving their affiliation with Rome and joining forces with him. Hannibal's army of 38,000 infantry, 8,000 cavalry, and 38 North African elephants ventured through the Rhone and made their way through the Alps. Many of those troops and most of those elephants would die along the trek. They faced numerous difficulties, and according to one historian, they even had to excavate rock falls on their journey, using fire to heat the rocks and then vinegar to douse the rock, making them split into rubble so that it could be cleared. Hannibal's army was making a bold and almost outlandish attack, so crazy that it just might work. Historian Polybius recorded that Hannibal arrived in Italy with 20,000 foot soldiers, 4,000 horsemen, and only just a handful of elephants. The Punic forces led by Hannibal fought several battles as they worked their way through Italy, but the Romans employed a different strategy. Rather than show force, they refused to fight in open battle. Hannibal conquered towns and pillaged provisions, and Rome fought them by using a battle of attrition. They just tried to drag it out and wear him down. For several years, Carthage had a strong outpost occupying Roman territory, gradually growing and taking more for themselves, led by the fiercely innovative and unstoppable General Hannibal. Meanwhile, Rome pushed through Africa. In 203 BC, Hannibal was called back from Italy to fight the Romans on his home turf. The Second Punic War came to a close in 201 BC with a tense peace agreement. Hannibal went on to become a statesman, and as he grew in power and wealth, the Romans sent an armed guard to deal with him. He went into voluntary exile, though he continued to work supporting enemies of Rome in the hopes of overthrowing the empire. Hannibal caused such distress in ancient Rome that whenever there was any kind of disaster, the Roman senators would shout, "Hannibal is at the gates!" Romans feared and hated him so much that they built statues of him in the streets to celebrate after his defeat. Militaries across the world still study Hannibal's methods, his logistics, his strategies, his tactics, and his courage. And those are the reasons that we salute Hannibal today as a man with testicular fortitude.
Have you ever needed to circumcise a gnat, but your Walmart knife from 13 years ago just isn't cutting it? Pun intended. Well, HAINES Knives is here to fix that. Travis Haines is a bladesmith that offers custom handcrafted knives, anything from personal everyday carries to kitchen knives. Find your new favorite knife at hainesKnives.com/mancast or follow Travis over on social media at BirdForge and let him know we sent you. That's HAINES Knives.com/mancast. And again, over at BirdForge on social media.
If you want to be a better man, check out our website, manlihood.com, for blogs, videos, and more from our Manlihood team. And you can also join our private Facebook group, Manlihood ManCave, where you can meet up with a band of brothers who will challenge you and help you on your journey of manhood. This episode is produced by Hatcher Media for manlihood.com. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to the show. Tune in again for more of the Manlihood ManCast.